So let me make sure I'm following this correctly. So the Democrats in Texas said, listen, we know what you guys are doing because the Republicans were trying to divide it up to make things more favorable for them, for the Republicans, when it came time to vote so they can get those seats that Donald Trump asked those Republicans to get. Okay, so the governor was like, cool, I'm going to go ahead and get those seats. So in order to get those seats, I need to divide it up to where there's more Republicans voting in these certain sections and make it so that there's less Democrats voting in these certain sections so I can get these seats that I needed. Okay, so after that happened, the Democrats that were elected in those legislation office decided to dip out. And by dip, I mean leave. So then they said, no, you got to come back. So then they came back. Okay, then after they came back, the Republicans now they're deciding you guys have to sign a permission slip. They're giving them a permission slip, and they're saying that you got to sign this permission slip, right? And it's stating that when you leave here, no matter where you go, we're gonna put a armed police officer with you to monitor you, to keep up with what you're doing, to make sure that you can't do what you just did, where you can't just leave. One of the Democrats said, I ain't signing that damn paper. I ain't gonna have a cop just following me around everywhere I go to monitor where I'm at. Like, that's ridiculous. Why would I do that? So they basically locked her in the house. They basically locked her in, saying that if you don't sign this on the floor, then we can't let you go. First of all, isn't that illegal? That is illegal, right? You cannot hold somebody against their will. Then what made it even crazier is that there's Democrats that like, oh, we're gonna sit in with you in solidarity, right? We're gonna sit in with you because we're a team. Motherfucker, we ain't a team. You signed the paper. So you signed the paper so you can leave. And then you show back up when she says she's not signing the paper to sit in with her when they're holding her against her will. That doesn't make any sense on neither one of your parts. It doesn't make sense on the Republican part because it's illegal to hold somebody against their fucking will. Isn't that kidnapping? Last time I checked, you're literally holding her there, telling her that if she doesn't sign this paper, then she can't leave. She's not breaking the law by not signing the paper. That paper that you just made up, that's not an actual law. That's not something that was on the floor before. That's not something that was wrote into legislation. Where was that written? I mean, I know I'm dense at times, but really, where was that written? So you're saying, let me get this straight. So there was a governor or I can't remember what she was that was shot and killed in her home. Okay, and I don't know if she was a senator. I totally can't remember. There's so much news going on. So she was shot and killed, and then you guys did not put armed police officers with them to protect them for their lives and their safety, but you'll put a police officer with a legislator to make sure they come in and that you can monitor them. What the actual fuck? And yet and still, I ain't surprised. I am not surprised by this because we're just letting it happen. We're letting it happen. Where's the outrage? Where's the outcry? Where everybody at? She's sitting there because she didn't sign the paper that you just fucking made up to tell her that if she don't sign this paper and tell us that it's okay to put a police officer with you to monitor where you're going because we need to make sure that you can bring your butt down here so that we can make you vote for something. What? So you're holding her against her will. That's one. Secondly, you're forcing her. You're literally forcing her under duress to sign that paper. Because that's duress. Because you're saying, I'm not going to let you go unless you sign the paper. These are lawmakers. So you're telling me there's no attorneys that don't find this a little fishy? There's no attorneys that don't find this a little weird? Literally, forcing her under duress to sign a sheet of paper that she doesn't want to fucking sign to then have a police officer monitor her all the time. Not for her safety, mind you, but so that they can keep up with what she's doing when she's not doing nothing illegal anyway. And then there's Democrats. You punk ass Democrats too. There's Democrats that are saying they're sitting in with her because they want to assure her that we're a team. Solidarity. That's not solidarity. You guys signed the paper. That's why you're able to go freely. Technically, you're not going freely. You're able to move in and out with that armed police officer. What? Make it make sense. Can't make it make sense, can you? Because it's 2025 and we under a dictatorship. Tell me we're not. Because that sounds like a dictatorship to me. You're telling her that she can't leave because you made up this whole thing about this sheet of paper and that you want a police officer to monitor her and follow her around. Tell me you're a piece of shit without telling me you're a piece of shit. Tell me you evil without telling me you evil. Tell me you lazy without telling me you lazy. Y'all are all of that. You're pathetic. How pathetic. Every day these Republicans are showing how pathetic they are. You're pathetic. That is ridiculous. You're pathetic. But it don't matter if I tell you pathetic because you already know you're pathetic. You go home and you look in the mirror and the reflection that's looking back at you it got its back turned to you because your soul is dead on the inside. You have no spirit. You have no will. You have no umph because you are lowered in dirt. You're pathetic. You're a loser. You're a piece of shit. And you've always been one. When you came out of your mom's canal, when you came out, your mom held you and said, look at you, my beautiful piece of shit, my beautiful piece of garbage. That's what you are. Your mom's been trash. The generation before you has been trash. You come from a long line of trash. That's why you're following behind trash. That's all you are. That's all you ever will be. And if there is a God, which I do believe in God, but for those of you that don't, I'm going to say it like this. If there is a God and you do got to stand in front of him, he's going to look at you like, you ain't familiar, player. And the reason why you not familiar, player, is because you don't have a soul. God don't recognize patheticness. He doesn't. He don't know what it looks like. He never created patheticness. You guys created that. It's not in his nature. It's not in his will. It's not who he is. So he don't know what the heck that's supposed to look like. So when you get up there, he gonna look at you like, oh man, I don't know who you is. Who are you? Besides that pathetic Republican that's following behind the pathetic Republican leader who's the pathetic leader who's the pathetic president of the United States. Pathetic.